Okay, so welcome in everyone. So we're talking today about self-care and healthy boundaries, better relationships. We'll talk about the overlaps between self-care and boundaries. So what's on the agenda? We are going to talk about everything to do with boundary setting. You'll learn some key phrases to use, and we'll also do a meditation, a guided self-care meditation. Then you'll get some writing exercises, and that would be a really good time to grab your journal if you haven't already. So we'll go through self-care writing exercises, and then we'll follow up with boundaries writing exercises. And if there's time, we'll have an open discussion about how do healthy boundaries create better relationships. And of course, there will be time for self-reflection writing exercises. So because we are here for about 45 minutes, we'll see if we can get through everything here. So let's begin. So, Self Care Sanctuary is a community to connect, to gain tools, and discuss helpful practices in a safe environment. It's a space to start conversations and learn, discuss, overcome challenges, and celebrate successes. So, about me and what I offer. So, my name is Margarita, and I'm an intuitive life coach specializing in self care and empowerment. I'm also an energy healer and author. Now, I help clients really find what it is that they are misaligned with. And a lot of the time, reducing stress is a conscious effort. It takes patience, it takes guidance, inner guidance, and an openness to receiving what your inner wisdom has to share with you. Maybe something you haven't been listening to for a very long time. Now, I also support professionals recovering from burnout and specifically people that are in a transition in life, personally in their life or professionally in their life. So, just to remind you, this is a safe and non judgmental space. And so, rest assured that all of the participants have been verified, camera on. And yeah, so let's continue. You can reach me actually before I move on to the next topic here. You can reach me on my site at arcticaligned.ca. So Arctic as ARTIC aligned.ca. You can also email me. Feel free to email me if you're needing some balance and would like to have a clarity call. You can reach me at margarita.intuitivecoaching@gmail.com. And so what is Arctic? Arctic Intuitive Coaching. So Arctic stands for Authentic, Resilient, Transformative, Intuitive Coaching. And so now I'd like to do a relaxation and a meditation practice with you. So sit back and relax, take a few deep breaths, and think about rest. Think about getting real rest. And a good way to remember to relax in your day is as an acronym of real rest, evolving self-care, loving kindness, accepting honest reflection, and the rule of tens. So 10 deep breaths, 10 minutes, 10 seconds, 10 things. So as you think about in the future relaxing, think about getting real rest without distractions, evolving self-care practices that will change with you. Make sure to be loving and kind with self-compassion. Accept where you are without judgment. and figure out a plan of 10 things that you will do. Maybe you'll get into a practice of taking 10 deep breaths and seeing how you feel. You could do a 10-minute meditation. You can do a 10-second meditation, or you can think of, for example, 10 things that bring you peace or joy. You could even write down a list of things in your phone or in your journal, 10 things you're grateful for, that kind of thing, to make it very easy to remember to practice. So let's go into our meditation. So let's get grounded in this moment. Settle into a comfortable position, whatever feels good for you. You can choose to close your eyes or take a soft gaze. Really allow yourself this time of presence. Noticing your breathing without judgment. And feel your breathing. I invite you to set a gentle intention for this practice. You could choose to repeat, I will be kind and loving to myself today. I am making myself a priority in this moment. I choose self-care, so I choose myself today. So let's begin. So when you're ready and you're comfortably seated, feel the chair beneath you. Place both of your feet on the ground and feel that groundedness to the space. Really take this time to move into your body, whatever feels right for you. Once you're comfortably seated, I invite you to either close your eyes or take a soft gaze. Allowing yourself to relax and come to clarity and self-awareness. Gently begin to notice your shoulders. Begin to notice, are they a bit tense? I invite you to lower them, release that tension, and simply release as you breathe in and out. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth at your own pace, whatever feels good for you. Now, with each breath, notice how your breath feels. Notice how that breathing, are you breathing a little bit quicker or slower now? Really notice your breathing. And as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, releasing all of the tension in your body and all of the worries of the day, simply and gently releasing that with each exhale. And with each inhale, bring in clarity, willingness, and self-compassion. And so we'll just sit here for a minute or so. This is a good time to practice the affirming intentions. You can pick one intention. I will be kind to myself today. I choose self-care because I choose myself today. Any one of those. So let's take a minute to simply exist in this present moment. So it's been about a minute. I invite you to slowly, gently move your fingers, your toes, open your eyes, and come back into your room in the present moment with more clarity, compassion. All right. So now I wanted to do a journaling exercise. So take a few moments to grab a pen and paper or your journal, or simply close your eyes. And as I read these 3 questions, think about what they bring up for you. So you can simply choose to observe the thoughts that come to you now that you're connected in body, mind, and we'll take 5 minutes of journaling or processing our thoughts at this time. So I'm going to read these 3 questions and we'll go into 5 minutes of journaling and thought. So the first question I would like you to think about or write about is, what thoughts come up for me about setting boundaries in my relationships? Why prioritize boundaries in my relationships now? Why is now the right time? And 3, where do I most need support in setting boundaries with someone? So let's take 5 minutes for this exercise, and I will come back in 5 minutes. Okay, so that's been 5 minutes. Keep those thoughts close and let's move on. So, what are healthy boundaries and why healthy boundaries are important? So, first off, boundaries setting is a practice. And it's also about maintenance. It's about awareness. It's about understanding what your individual needs are, no one else's, but your own. So as we acknowledge that this is okay, this isn't okay, this is breaking a physical boundary, an emotional boundary, a mental boundary or time boundary, all of these boundaries, they're for us. They're for our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. So when do we create boundaries? And how do we create boundaries? So when is it best to set a boundary? So as I go through some of these suggestions for you, think about what boundary you would like to make but haven't yet, and why. Think about that. Whatever situation comes up, person, or anything really, write it down and simply become curious about what boundary you would like to make but haven't yet, and why. So, when we set boundaries, we essentially create space between ourselves and the other person. So some signs are feeling drained, resentful, or overwhelmed when speaking to someone. If you're regularly saying yes, but you really want to say no, that's a good time to set a boundary. When your energy is depleted, you're feeling pressured, guilty, or taking on other people's emotions, that's a great time to set a boundary. So when our boundaries are repeatedly ignored, it not only eats away at our energy, but draining our clarity, our mental state, everything is connected into our well-being. So, what are some types of boundaries? So, some of the most common ones are physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, mental boundaries, time boundaries, and communication boundaries. So, think about, have you set any of these boundaries? And how did it go? Simply think about your past boundary setting intentions. Did you follow through? Did you want to? What situations come up? So I'm going to go through the list of the most common ones. So physical boundaries are any sort of personal space. It could be physical touch. It could be somebody being too close to you. So one way you can simply say that you need your personal space is to say, I need personal space right now. Or simply, I'm not comfortable with that. And then name the action. Emotional boundaries are separating your feelings from your partners or family members, not taking responsibility for anyone's emotions other than your own. So, for example, you could say something like, I can support you, but I can't fix this for you. Or, I'm not comfortable being yelled at, I will walk away. Mental boundaries are the respect for differing opinions, beliefs, and perspectives. So, for example, you could say, I need to step away and recharge. Or if there's a disagreement or your views aren't being respected, you could say, I need my views to be respected, even if you don't share them. Time boundaries are the time that you're spending with the other person or with others. It could be a group. You could say, I need more notice next time, or I am only available for an hour. So setting clear boundaries with time. Communication boundaries are about how and when we communicate, the tone and the topics and frequency. So, for example, you could say, I need time to think before responding. So, if somebody's really pushing you, you could say, I need time to think about this. Or, I won't continue this conversation if there's name calling. So, clearly naming the behavior, what you will and will not put up with. So, as I read these through, which ones do you feel more comfortable with, and which ones do you feel less comfortable with? That's a good place to do some digging and see where that takes you. So, how do we set boundaries? Well, part of that is saying no firmly, clearly stating what the boundary is, creating space to understand yourself, and releasing pressure to overcommit to others. So essentially, you're giving yourself permission to step away, to walk away. So the simpler, the better. The fewer words, the better. And the key with boundaries is to follow through by taking action. So you're going from a space of recognizing your comfort level or your discomfort and firmly setting your boundary and making sure that there's a follow through, that if that boundary is crossed, you will do the action. So here's a question to reflect on: is, does a certain relationship come to mind right now? Is there a certain relationship that comes to mind that sticks out like a sore thumb? Maybe it's several, or maybe it's one certain person in your life. And so let's do a self-reflection, thinking about the impact. What is one key way not setting boundaries has impacted you, and why? And when do you think it would be most helpful to set a boundary? And what is one supportive action you will take to begin or maintain your boundaries? So I'll put these in the chat at the end. Maybe we'll return to that towards the end. We only have 10 minutes left, so today I don't think we'll have time to do the discussion. So let's move on to identifying. So it's important to tune in. It's important to tune in to understand when you're uncomfortable. Your body sends signals. So asking yourself, what is happening right now? What are you feeling in your body? And what part of what was said or done is not okay? So to understand what is and what is not. And so after that, you can think about what needs to change here. So moving into body awareness as an indicator, whether that is stretching, closing your eyes, walking away, to understand where your boundaries are and where they need to be set. That's a good place to start, is by tuning inward. And second, after acknowledging that something here needs to change, that you're not comfortable with it, acknowledging. So acknowledging is always the first step. Now we're moving into more of a solidifying. So spending some time here to ask ourselves, when will you have this conversation from what you've learned about your comfort and discomfort and what needs to change? What outcome would you like? And what are you willing and not willing to put up with? So spending a few minutes checking in, naming your emotions and feelings so you understand them. This is for you. This isn't information for the other person. This is simply about how you're feeling. And noticing where that tension is in your body. So is there a certain situation or person you would like to set a boundary with? And is this the same person you thought of at the last slide? Or is this a different situation that's coming up for you? So really dig into and observe your thoughts, what comes up for you. So another key component of setting boundaries is celebrating your success. Simply to acknowledge that after you've set your boundary, you are making progress. And so every time you set a boundary, you move closer to a healthy self-care plan, which includes strong boundaries. Now, again, these boundaries are for you. They protect your peace, your mental clarity, your comfort level. And so simply appreciating this ongoing effort to recognize and to set boundaries and to acknowledge that I did that, I set this boundary. Let that be a reminder that you're taking your self-care as a priority today. So let's take a moment to affirm. Today, I chose to make myself a priority, because that is a huge step. That is a huge step. That is that leap into self-care and setting healthy boundaries in relationships. So thank you so much. I am so happy that you joined. This is a great topic. And unfortunately, today we don't have much time, but next week we'll have more time to have a discussion. Maybe we'll start with a discussion first on the topic. But thank you for being here. Your self-care journey matters. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you again for joining. And I'll answer any questions. Let me just stop the recording. I appreciate everybody being here. Okay, there we go.